Dardo Rocha Museum and Archives. Very interesting guy, Dardo Rocha. I mean, like super accomplished. Welcome back, everyone. La Plata, Argentina. We're back here in La Plata. We're out here on Plaza Moreno, once again, on the edge of Plaza Moreno. The center right over there, where we were in the very first video that we made here. And in that video, we mentioned that on the edge of the plaza, there is this museum right here. El Museo y Archivo Dardo Rocha, the Museum and Archives of Dardo Rocha, the governor, first governor of, well, not the first governor of Buenos Aires province, but the governor of Buenos Aires province and the founder of this city, La Plata. And today, we're gonna learn a little bit more about him in that museum right there. So come along. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you want to help out the channel and help it grow, I really would appreciate it. Click on the like button down there, the subscribe button, and the little bell next to it to be notified for when new videos drop. It really helps the channel grow because it's going to help the YouTube algorithm recognize this content and spread it to other YouTube viewers. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I would appreciate that as well. You can leave a super thanks by clicking this thanks button here and give a small donation to the channel. I appreciate your support. So back to the video, enjoy. So before we head into the museum, let's take a couple minutes to talk about Dardo Rocha just a little bit, because of course we know him as the governor of Buenos Aires province when the city was founded, the founder of the city here, like we've talked about in our previous videos. But he actually led a very interesting life up until he was governor. By the time he was governor, he was already like in his 50s, I think. So it was much later in life. And up until that point, he led a very interesting life. He, before he was governor, he was, he dabbled in a lot of things. He went to school at the University of Buenos Aires, and he had planned to become a journalist, actually, and had sort of already begun his career in journalism. But the outbreak of, well, one of several of the Argentine civil wars during the time when he was a young man, he ended up joining the military and fighting in the Argentine civil wars, fighting in the Paraguayan War, or also known as the War of the Triple Alliance, because basically it was like three countries, all neighbors of Paraguay, fighting against Paraguay. That could have its own, like, several videos talking about that war, but we'll move on. He fought in both of those wars. He moved his way up through the ranks of the military, and eventually afterwards, after the wars, after he left the military after the wars, he made his way into regional government here in the province of Buenos Aires, starting out as an intern in the finance minister's office. And he worked his way all the way up as an intern, and then a minister, then a deputy, and a senator, and eventually he became governor of the province of Buenos Aires, right at the crucial time in the history of Buenos Aires and the history of Argentina in 1880. Now, like we mentioned in the very first video we made here about from the centro, from the plaza right over here, the very first video we talked about how 1880 was a very crucial year in the history of Argentina. And one of the reasons was because the city of Buenos Aires became federalized, and it was up to the new governor, Dardo Rocha, to find a new place for the head, like the county, or the seat of government of the province of Buenos Aires, right? Where to put the new capital, and he chose here, La Plata. And in addition to building out the city, and in record time, by the way, to building and planning this entire city, Rocha was also very concerned with modernizing the province, the entire province of Buenos Aires. And he actually, his administration put a priority on expanding the railway. So during his administration, the railway was extended from city of Buenos Aires down to here in La Plata, and then out to other cities in the province, Mar del Plata, Benito Juarez, and Bahia Blanca, and some of the other cities. Also extended telegraph and telephone lines across pretty much the entire province, and also electricity in a lot of the cities in the province. So he was very a very big part of his administration, a major important part of his administration was to modernize the province, and he did an excellent job at it. Now, so now that we know a little bit more about Rocha and his life before becoming governor and some of his accomplishments as governor, I think it's time that we head across the street there and we check out the Dardo Rocha Museum and see what they have going on in there. So here we are, Museo y Archivo Dardo Rocha, the Dardo Rocha Museum and Archives. Like I said, pretty small building. I think it's the former home, or a former home of Dardo Rocha. And looks pretty interesting. So let's go in and check it out.
So in this first section of the museum, the entire exhibit here in this area is dedicated to the placing of the founding stone at the center of what is now Plaza Moreno across the street. You can see here they actually have a picture of what it used to look like. It was just a big field. And they have some old currency here that they placed into the time capsule, like I mentioned, I think in a previous video. They placed this time capsule underneath, they buried it underneath the central founding stone and added, like some currency, some old metals. They actually have a shovel here, the actual ceremonial like shovel and trowel that were used to dig the hole and put the time capsule. And then there's this painting here, which is a very famous depiction of the founding ceremony where they dug the hole, placed the founding stone, put the time capsule underneath, and I think this here actually is the original time capsule, the actual case that they put underneath the founding stone all the way back in, 1882? And then here in the center there is a model of what I believe is the Rocha house. And of course, now it's just another building on the street with other buildings next to it. But, when the city was founded, it was just an open field, so the house stood alone. And here, actually, I think this glass may actually be the time capsule that they placed. I'm not sure. I think this was the time capsule. I don't know if that other box was the time capsule. It's possible they may have placed multiple things underneath the founding stone. But here, this, I believe, actually is the founding stone that they placed and dug up later, 100 years later, I guess now, in 1982. And there's a ceremonial plaque with Dardo Rocha's face, La Plata, 100 years. These are medals from different organizations and different organizations from around the city and around the province commemorating the 100th anniversary. There was a whole ceremony on the 100th anniversary where everybody gathered in the province. They dug up the time capsule, and here you can actually see a map, an old map of the original city inside the square. Now over here, that is Ensenada. That's the city that was actually there, the town that was there before they founded this city. And you can see here right in the center, that's Plaza Moreno, where we are right now. And some information here about Dardo Rocha himself. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this museum is in Dardo Rocha's former estate, his house. And apart from the sections about the founding of La Plata, there's a timeline here of the founding of the city, but also a lot of information about Rocha himself and the house, because the house itself is its own historical artifact, which is very cool. Now, in some other videos that we've made here on this channel, I like to go to museums that are in like old houses, people's old houses. I think it's really cool to have a museum in someone's old house so that the building itself is like a historical artifact and a historical monument. And here's the governor's, like, I guess it's like a sash for the governor of the province of Buenos Aires. And some photos of like what the house used to look like back in the day, the central patio, which is actually just outside those doors. And we'll go out and visit that a little bit later. But like I said, they've preserved a lot of things, old furniture, paintings and portraits from Dardo Rocha from the time that he lived here in the house, which I think is really cool. It's a very Gilded Age style house back in the late 1880s. Very, very fancy, very lavish decorations inside. I think that painting there was Rocha's wife. And they have some of his old like china and glassware. Very fancy stuff. Now this stuff over here, in this case, I really like because this is like china that has the official like seal on it. So this is like official gubernatorial china, which is pretty cool. And of course, some chairs where very possibly famous butts sat right there in these chairs. Probably. I'm guessing in one of those seats, Rocha's famous butt was at one point. And here is, I believe, a painting of Rocha, a portrait from time when he was a little bit older. Yep, there he is, Dardo Rocha. And these portraits that they have here are of Rocha and his family as well. There's other portraits around here of different family members. It's kind of hard to see that when there's a bit of a glare from the lights. Beautiful, old, very ornate grandfather clock. A lot of cool stuff in this section, honestly. It's really, I don't know, it's pretty cool to see how quite wealthy people lived and dressed back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. It was a very, very lavish age. We actually saw one of the best collections of this we saw was in Rosario. We made a video about this, link in the description to that, but of the house of the Estevez Museum, which is like a house with a bunch of old, very, very lavish furniture. The whole museum is now a museum of decorative art. And there's a photograph of Rocha in his much, much later years. This would be his bedroom, I'm guessing. And here's a painting. I quite like this painting. This is a painting of Rocha and his wife in their later years. Must have been kind of annoying to have to pose for a painting, right? Yes, Paula Arana. That's Rocha's wife. Must have been kind of annoying to have to pose for paintings, right? You have to sit in a little like salon in a chair for hours on end while someone paints you. And here we have what I believe is a recreation of Rocha's office, and what would have been his like private office. They have here some different certificates, degrees, diplomas. Here's from the University of Buenos Aires. And this is, his doctorate in jurisprudence. And there's the desk. The desk where Rocha did all his famous work. On the desk, there's a bust of Bernardo Rivadavia, former president of Argentina, who we actually mentioned in our previous video about the city planning and architecture of this city, because Plaza Rivadavia, next to Casa Curuchet. And here, many, many famous butts sat in all of these salon chairs. This, I don't know what that is, but it's very, very cool. Some more portraits of family members. And here, this actually is Juana Arana, who I believe is Rocha's mother? I could be getting all of these wrong as far as how they're related. This, I believe, is actually Rocha's daughter. Like when she was much older after Rocha's death, but I believe that is who this is. And then I think this. Oh no, this is his sister. Juana Rocha is Dardo Rocha's sister. Like I said, there's a lot of portraits in here, and I may be getting some of them wrong as to how they're related to Rocha, whether they're his sister's children or parents. The one I do know is Rocha, because his face is all over this museum. Of course, makes sense. He is the founder of La Plata, and the museum is dedicated to him. Now here they have a little video of the ceremony in 1982, where they dug up the time capsule. It's very cool to see that as well. Its own historical artifact, showing the ceremony of digging up the time capsule in '82. Now, I think when they dug up that time capsule, they actually placed another one. So, and someone, if you know better in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there is another time capsule that is down there that is like due to be dug up in 2082. Anyway, we can head out to the patio here. It's very, very beautiful, nice. These houses with the patio, and like I mentioned, when the house was built, of course, all of these buildings around were not here. This house was just sort of built, and everything around it would have just been open field. So all the city sounds that you hear, like trucks and buses driving by, and sirens, and the sounds of the city. Of course, none of that would have been here back when this house was built. It would have just been an empty field, very peaceful. And now, of course, it's surrounded on all sides by city. It's literally right in the geographical center of the city, in the busiest part of the city. There's a little inner patio here with an old bicycle for some reason. But they have some plaques here, different associations and organizations from the city and the province. I imagine who donated to the upkeep of the house and the museum, so they get a plaque. And the old bicycle here, which I'm not really sure why this is here. Maybe that was Dardo Rocha's bicycle. Let's say that was Dardo Rocha's bicycle, and he loved it, and he rode it all around the whole area while the city was being built, just to see the progress of the city that he was that he lived in and was the capital of the province of whom he was governor. Anyway, we'll head back inside, and I think that's about it. We've seen the entire place. It's a very nice museum. Quite small, but packed with a lot of good stuff. Very cool to see it in the former home of Dardo Rocha, and there he is, right there. Dardo Rocha. Very important to the history of La Plata and the province of Buenos Aires.
Well, that's it. That was a really good museum. Like I said, it's not very big. It's cool that it's in his old house. I always find museums in like a old rich dude's old house kind of fun. It's cool to see, especially like from that era, the late 1800s, early 1900s, like very, very, like, I don't know, Gilded Age. People were very, very rich, very wealthy, had a lot of very cool stuff in their house. Reminded me a lot, honestly, of when we were in Rosario and we saw the Estevez Museum, that house. Link to that video down in the description. But very cool to see. And like, of course, I mentioned at the beginning of all that voiceover, it was dead quiet in there. I was the only person there. It was dead quiet inside, and there were about, I don't know, 5 or 6 people working there. And usually under those circumstances, I'm fine. I can just walk around. But I don't know, for some reason, it just felt really, really weird to me to like be talking to myself in the camera while going around and filming there. Well, it was just me and like 5 people that work there. Felt weird, just felt weird about it, but hopefully you enjoyed what we saw in there, even with the voiceover. And I think with the voiceover it was kind of cool because it allowed me to add a little music and really think about what it was that I wanted to say about all the things that we're seeing there as I watched over it again when I was editing the video. So I think that's going to be it for this video, though. We've seen what we came to see here at the Dardo Rocha Museum and Archives. Very interesting guy, Dardo Rocha. I mean, like super, super accomplished, obviously. Like from the timeline of his life, you can tell it's a very accomplished guy. And it's cool that we got to see the former house of the founder of the city where we're staying, and also the section there that showed like the history of the founding of La Plata, and we got to see all the stuff that was in the time capsule that they dug up from the center, founding stone over there behind us, which we talked about in that first video. So very cool to see all that stuff. anyway, that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed the video. There's more coming from here in La Plata, so stick around for that, and we'll see you in the next one.